I am Lorenzo Angeli. I'm assistant professor at the University of Trento in the Department of Computer Science. And I'm part of this research group that is called FRIT, the Laboratory for Critical Computing. We are an interdisciplinary research group. You have already met Tommaso. You have already met Angelina. There's a few more people that are part of the group. What we do is that we combine a lot of discipline, but basically our work is about educating engineering students to the social impacts of computing. So we do research on the social impacts of computing, so how computing changes our social interaction and how it modifies our world around us and our societies. And we find ways to teach this to students of computing, which normally they don't learn too much about this. So it's a way to kind of extend the horizon of what is computing and what we teach in computing. So today we're talking about technological sustainability. So it makes sense to start from what the United Nations mentioned as their definition of sustainability, or actually sustainable development. And when we're talking about technological sustainability of digital education, this touches a number of these things. First of all, have you already seen the Sustainable Development Goals, either in your previous life or in the course? In the course, I don't think you did, but like, have you already seen them? Feel free to unmute, say what your thoughts are on this, like what do you think, problems, things that you like about this. Just, yeah, we're few, so very open discussion.
Well, I found in engineering courses that some of these are very unbalanced when we talk about them. Like a lot of them get mentioned more than others, but they're definitely brought up.
So you're sorry, because I don't see all the people that are speaking. So you're Christian, right?
Yeah, sorry.
Okay, hi. So if you could do me a favor, if when you start speaking, you just say who you are, just so that I can start associating names and voices. It's very complicated. Okay. So like, what are the ones that you see more and the ones that you see less?
Number 12, responsible consumption and production.
Yeah. You see that a lot.
Quite often, yeah. The industry, number 9.
Yeah.
Because a lot of projects have to do with industry.
Yeah. Like reducing consumption of plastics and whatever, right?
Yeah. Because they seem a bit more general sometimes than, zero hunger is very specific. It's like that.
Yeah. Other thoughts?
Definitely.
Other folks? Thank you, Christian, for your input.
Yeah, I'm Tommaso, and maybe I should say the 4, so quality education. In our school, we perform some course for other teachers, and we use something like the Google Workspace or artificial intelligence to perform and to implement better lessons.
So, well, thank you for this input, Tommaso. Actually, you will see later, like a lot of my work goes kind of like reflects and thinks of what are the tools that we use in these settings. So I will show you some examples and that go in this direction. But we'll start to see where they go. But of course, like these are quality education is one that when we talk about the sustainability of digital education, we'll for sure cover. So here are some points. So these are some of the goals that, I mean, this touches upon explicitly, right? When we talk about, again, technological sustainability of digital education. Of course, the quality of education is pretty obvious. So we'll have a session, actually not hosted by Ren, this is a mistake, hosted still by me and Martijn jointly on the pedagogical sustainability. And I think it's obvious, right? Why we have this. But this is also, when we are looking at these sustainable development goals, one of the things that you see is that there are many of them, right? And they are supposed to be kind of all encompassing and like covering multiple aspects at the same time. So the idea is that we don't look just at the technological dimension here, but we try to keep a holistic look. We try to connect the dots together. This is part of what the UN is trying to do with this Sustainable Development Goals framework. Whether they manage or not, debatable, but at least this is their intention. Another one, which Christian was also mentioning, is like this idea of industry, innovation, infrastructure. But the point here that I want to draw your attention to when we're talking about technological sustainability of digital education is what are the infrastructural choices that we are making? And then there is another question, which is about, are the innovations or so-called innovations that we are bringing into the education space, are they actually innovations, or are they things which like add value for everyone, or are they things that they're just more like novelties? So just changes in the status quo, but we don't fully assess whether they are helpful or not. So this is going to be part of the reflections of today. And another one, which I think is actually unexpected maybe here, is that the technological sustainability of digital education is quite connected to the idea of strengthening institutions. Because one of the things that we'll be talking about today is this idea of outsourcing within digital education and the role of like big tech in the digital education landscape. And some technologies actually, when they are entrenched into the education space, digital education space, actually hinder the strength of the institutions because they make our schools, our education systems less resilient and less adaptable and more dependent on the services of some specific providers, which is actually a problem. So this is not directly connected to peace and justice, but it is very much connected to strong institutions. There is another one that we could be talking about, which is about inequalities. I will be mentioning this later. There are some technological choices that make the difference from the inequality perspective, but this will be covered quite a bit more by Özge and Helin next week. So we'll go more into that. There is also a point about this idea of economic growth. When we are talking about digital education, one of the latest developments is that this is also being called as something which can generate jobs and can generate kind of economic growth. But one of the questions which is being discussed into the literature of sustainability connected also to education is like whether sustainability and growth are compatible or not. Because the one of the discussion which is happening, and even historically, is that the idea of sustainability is actually about using less stuff. The idea of growth is about actually using more stuff. So sustainable development sounds like even an oxymoron, right? Like just putting two things which are one of the opposite to each other next to each other. So it's a pretty challenging idea, and it's not super clear whether these two things are compatible or not. I'm one that actually tends to say what they think pretty openly. So I'm one of the people that thinks that they are not compatible. You're either sustainable or you are growing, but very hard to do both at the same time. And in order, not growing doesn't mean you're unhappy. It just means you need to change how you look at things. So this is actually a more nuanced view of what we're analyzing, and I hope to give you some pointers here. So